And here with defensive-minded Shady Spring coach Ronnie Olson. Ronnie, you and I, for 5 years, we've been talking about your teams, your programs. It starts with defense. Tonight, close in the first quarter, they did score 12 points. In the second quarter, they didn't score until there were 15 seconds left until the half. You guys had 15 turnovers. I reckon at least 10 of those were in that second quarter. Talk about the second quarter and how that defense spurred you and really got you going.
They decided they were going to, lock down and play, and 2 points in a quarter, like you said, with under a minute is pretty impressive. So, we kept changing defenses and then starting dictating tempo a little bit, and they were kind of frazzled a little bit, and we probably could have put them away there early if we had scored. But defensively, that second quarter was amazing. I mean, they were all swarming the ball, helping. Trying to take charges. They were all in defensive position. They were everywhere they needed to be in that second quarter. And that's, even though we struggled offensively, we talk about games in the postseason, you're going to struggle on offense. And you can,
you're trying to do too much correct, right?
Yeah, and they had a good, defensive game plan. We figured they might do that. They did, and but we leaned on our defense, especially in that second quarter. And Lord, they just defended and that allowed us to even play bad offenses to still get a double-digit lead. That's pretty impressive. People, take that for granted, but the way they defended there in the second quarter was able to give us a little bit of breathing room.
Specifically, Ammar Maxwell, freshman, you've talked about him before. You know he's going to be a great player. Tonight had to be a big confidence boost for the kid. He's at 5 3-pointers, led you in scoring 15 points. I don't know how long, probably last year with the Chapmans, but how long it's been since, a freshman led you in scoring.
Yeah, maybe Tommy Williams, led us in scoring, but we challenged Ammar, in practice. When we heard we had some guys, that weren't here tonight. Nick, you have to step up. You're not a ninth grader anymore. Let's go after it. You're in 10th grade. I have the utmost confidence in him, and he played tough. He rebounded. He was active, and active players, find ways to have big portions in the game, big standouts in the game, and he did. He hit some big threes there. He was ready to shoot. He was ready. He knew it was coming their way. He sat the bench. He watched what type of defense they were playing and sagging off of them, and he had an opportunity to hit 3 big threes there in the second quarter, and that was big. And he also played defense.
I want to talk this trio specifically, and Ammar's one of those. Ammar was a freshman. He's a freshman. Didn't play last year, obviously. Yep. Cam was hurt last year, didn't play. Yep. Jaden didn't get much of a run because of the kind of team we had last year. Senior. Yep. He did 2 first-team All-Staters that graduated, so he didn't get a lot of burn last year. Tonight, they were 1, 2, 3 in scoring. I think Braden did finish with double figures, but does that just say something about this team? I think the scouting report was probably stop the Chapmans. You got a chance to beat Shady Spring. Maybe not true now.
Yeah, and that's a true, measure of what type of team we have. Because you can go into postseason, you can play a boxing one, you can play a triangle 2, you can slough off 2 guys. But those guys absolutely made them pay for the defense they were playing. And they were good shots in the flow of the offense. Ammar and Cam and Jaden just absolutely made them pay on the offensive end for playing that type of defense. And I know it's tough to match up, defensively us because we can drive, we can shoot it, we're active. But when we saw that, we knew eventually we'd get going. The defense they came out in, they slowed us down there in the first quarter and a half. Once we got used to it, changed things a little bit. But it's just an attribute to those kids right there. Waiting their time, grinding out in practice. Just always just being ready, and they were, and they stepped up. And we had a guy down tonight, and shout out to him. We tried to win it for him as well.
Who's that?
One of our players. We tried to win this one for him as well, and if he's watching, we want to give him a shout out, and he's gonna be back soon as well. So it was a good team win, and I'm proud of those guys stepping up when other guys didn't score.
To the Chapman's credit too, they were making things happen, not necessarily with the ball in their hand, also with the ball in their hand because they make passes. One thing about your team, I think you always make that extra pass, and it always seems to work. But to their credit, they did things specifically on defense. I think they kind of headed that defense and caused a lot of those turnovers because they're on the ball, and they're just riding the guy almost like a horse. To their credit, they made things happen without necessarily scoring.
And that's the thing about those three. They weren't really scoring there in the first 3 quarters, but I mean they were just getting after them, wearing them down, wearing them down, wearing them down, wearing them down, and that takes a toll on you when you're consistently getting wore down like that. And for them to play just as hard, Cole, Todd, and Braden to play just as hard as they did on the defensive end without getting, you know, that gold star, that bone of scoring, for them to do that is a true measure of how hungry these guys are. And I was proud of them because that's a very good point where they weren't scoring, but they still let nothing go on the defensive end or on the rebound and on the glass.